Alright, what's up YouTube? Now you see the title of this video and you see the image that I have on the screen. Now in this video, I am going to be going over the really something that at this point is blatant, this point is obvious, and it's a truth that a lot of people really don't know, right? If you don't believe in the scriptures and whatnot in the Bible, and you know who's the real people of the Bible, you might not get this video. But I'm an Israelite, right? So I'm coming from the perspective of what would be deemed a Hebrew Israelite, and what's really going on in this earth, why things are going on the way they're going on. And you know, you see the title, so you know we talking about the war against the image of God. And I said I'll make this video in my last video, right? And this video is important because what's taking place on this earth when it comes to why black people is under attack, why really it seems the whole earth is really under attack, if we really want to be real, and all the problems you see, and all the war, all the chaos, the racism, all of this is for a reason. All of this is not just relative and just happening. They'll have you believing, you learn in school in history class, some white people came into Africa and saw some niggas running around and with leaves on them, and was in clay huts, and they threw some nets on them and threw them on a ship. This is what they'll have you believe, but no. What's really taking place on this earth is way deeper, right? And I'm not gonna really delve too deep into everything in this video. I'm gonna be brief because I wanna really focus on a video that I'm actually about to show y'all, which is actually the reason I decided to make this video, because it was a very disturbing and sick video. And the video was of some black women on a panel, right, talking about how basically trying to say we need to have violence done against black men, and was trying to call on so-called white men to attack black men in the streets. And they had some insecure white dude up there on the panel with them, you know, talking like, yeah, this is all right, and all this dumb shit, right? So I'm gonna play that video for y'all real quick, actually, and then I'm gonna continue my commentary.
We should talk about
we don't want to deal with black men at all.
I love all men and not black men. Just not black men.
Well, is there any women here who don't want to deal with men, period, or is it just black men, or is it a mixture?
It's just black men, and we actually want non-black men's help in these corrections that you speak of.
So what are the corrections that you're looking for specifically?
Force, because that's the only thing that's gonna work.
But I mean, what are you looking for black men to arrive at? A place of understanding of, like, what do you want to see?
Well,
We believe that there is no hope for them. That we don't believe in changing their.
They get validated a little bit too much, and they're not held accountable as much as white men, Hispanic men, Asian men. Like, the legal system works in their benefit a little bit more than they think it does. They're seen as the ultimate, like, most oppressed, and I think that coddling culture needs to stop, and they need to be held accountable for their actions.
Because we live in white male patriarchy, white men set what's socially acceptable. So with you all setting what's socially acceptable, the degenerate behavior of black male culture needs to be checked, and there needs to, because we live in white male patriarchy, white men set what's socially acceptable. So with you all setting what's socially acceptable, the degenerate behavior of black male culture needs to be checked, And there needs to be more, because we're no longer looking for accountability from them because they've proven that they will not take accountability. We need the men who set the culture to make them take accountability.
I can work on something that will.
Let's let him respond.
I understand conceptually what you're saying, and I agree with that in theory. The interesting thing is, Bullet Bag, I love that name. She basically said, "Do you watch it, and is it celebrated?"
So y'all saw that video, right? Y'all just saw that video. Now, you see the evil that was being portrayed in that video. You see the wickedness of those black women on that panel, and how that the nonsense they were espousing, the nonsense they were pushing. And the reason, or not the reason, but how this coincides with my title, right, with the image of God, the attack on the image of God, is that when it comes to who this world views as God, right, or the image of God, what God looks like, God would be in the image of what a so-called black person would look like, right? Which is why I have this image on the screen. In the Bible, when it says God made man in our image, we know the first man was a black man. This even in these institutions of science, as they like to call, even they will acknowledge this, right? So even if we go off what they say, the first man would be black. And if God said, let us make man in our image, that would mean that God would look like a so-called black man. And the reason this is important to understand is because when we see the onslaught against black people in general, this is really what a lot of this is. It's that war against the image of God. Because the image of God is man, but it's also a woman as well, right? It's both of those, right? The image of God in general is the image of man, his family, it's all that. So you see this attack on family, the man, all this. This is all a direct attack against the image of God by who this world calls the devil or Lucifer. And this is why you see the wickedness and all of the hate that's waged against, in this case specifically when it comes to the black man. This is why you see so much hate waged against him, so much vitriol waged against him. It's because it's that attack on the image of God. And I do believe, even when you see a lot of these racists and whatnot, because I've been talking about white nationalists a lot recently on this channel in some of my past videos, even when you see those types of individuals. Now, of course, they were raised, a lot of them for the most part, raised in an environment where they were taught racism. Sometimes they not even raised in a racist environment. Their parents, find out what they believe and it's shocked and shit. But a lot of times, these individuals are raised in that environment. They are socialized in an environment that condones racism. But at the same time, I really do believe there is a spiritual component to a lot of this stuff. And what I mean by that is, I believe that when it comes to individuals in this society, in this earth, who engage in wickedness and sin, I believe that a lot of these people are susceptible to, I'll just say, paranormal entities, right? And these people have these entities around them. And the so-called, who this world calls the demons, which is really the spirit of the Nephilim, these spirits, along with the fallen angels, have a problem with God because he's the one that hurled them. And one that even cursed the Nephilim to operate how they operate. So they have a problem with God. They have a problem with the one who hurled them to this earth, the one who destroyed them, right? Destroyed their habitations when it comes to the times of Noah, when the Nephilim had their little empire going on the earth. That's a whole nother video. But they have a problem with this God. So in general, they have a problem with humanity. But specifically for this video, I'm talking about the black man, right? If these entities have a problem with God, surely then they would have a problem with his image, which would be the so-called black man directly, right? So I do believe to a degree when we see some of the wickedness of these individuals and they hate for the black man and this, what some would deem hate that is unexplainable. It doesn't make sense to hate a group of people in this manner with it, you know, people that seemingly have done nothing to you. And you have this hatred, this wickedness against them that's so irrational. I do believe to a degree that some of this is spiritual, and these people have these spirits around them, since sin in and of itself and wickedness is going to draw these spirits to these people. And their hatred for the black man, for black people, is really in a way about that hate against the image of God, the despising of the image of God. So they look to diminish the black man, diminish his image, his visage, in any way they can. You know, dehumanizing the black man and how he looks, dehumanizing the features of the black man, of black people in general. I believe this all, in a way, is rooted in that war against the image of God. Because these other beings that are on this earth, these fallen angels and demons, they have a war. They're at war with the creation of God. And see, that's why everything in the world is happening the way it's happening. I have to really make another video to go deeper into this type of subject, but what's about to go down on this planet, a lot of people are not ready for it. They not ready with what's about to come down in that sky. There is a reason that America and Israel made a space force. Now think about that for a second. If you don't believe me, you can look this up. America and Israel, and that's not a coincidence, Israel's involved. I'm not going to get too deep into that. But America and Israel, for some odd reason, have created a space force. What do they need a space force for? What do they need a military space force for? Just really think about that for a second. Why do they need a space force? What are they worried about? What's coming out in space that they need to have a space force for? Why do they need a space force? These are questions that need to be answered. Now, they put money into that space force. Think about this. We got people in the streets, homeless, starving. We could put some of that money to help them. What is we worried about space for? Why we need a space force, right? Unless there's something they know that the average person on this planet don't. I don't know. Something to think about, right? But like I was saying, there's a war being waged on this planet, and it's the war against the image of God. And like I said, you know, how this coincides with the video I showed y'all is that's a part of that war. That hate that those black women had on that panel, they are evil and demonic individuals. And they, even themselves, have joined in on that war against the image of God, even against themselves. They are self-destructing. A lot of them women on that panel are filled with self-hate. They worship the image of the beast, as the Bible calls it in the book of Revelation, which is, I'll have to make another video on that. But the image of the beast, which is really Rome, which is, if you really want to get you know, maybe a little bit on another level to look at it, it's really, you know, whiteness or the worship of the image that the daughter of Babylon puts out, which is exalted whiteness, exalted Edom, right? And they worship that image. So they're filled with self-hate. They worship whiteness, and they want to destroy God's people, even themselves. They are self-destructing kamikazes, and they are filled with, I believe, or at least surrounded by demonic spirits, and they are really crashing out. And that's what you saw on that panel, is people that are really willing to crash out. Because here's the thing, if they so happy divested with Brad, why is they on a panel worried about black men and wishing harm on them? Shouldn't they be with Brad, living in luxury? You know, because to them, all Brads is rich. Shouldn't they have their Brad? They say Brad loved them. Brad is jumping over fences and crawling under barbed wire to get with them, right? Let them tell it. So why is they worried about the black men when they supposedly they claim they divested with Brad and they living happy divested lives? Because they're not. They mad because they know Brad don't want them, and they are crashing out, taking it out on black men. And all this really goes into that war against the image of God, because these individuals also talk about killing children and all of that shit, right? These people are evil. And that is what you're seeing. Well, that's what you saw in the panel. It's that war with what I have on the screen. It's that war against the children of Israel in general. But that's all I really got to say for this video. My next video, I think I'm going to talk about Myron Gaines, man. I got to talk about this, how he got absolutely embarrassed by a white nationalist on the panel. And it was like the second time it happened. And I should have made a video a lot sooner, but I really want to make the video now because there's some more stuff that's come out, and I really want to talk about some of the more recent stuff along with that clip, just to really show how pathetic Myron is. But that is all I have to say for this video, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. I'm out.